Hello everyone, Fred here, and today I'll be talking about The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. Now this book was originally published in German and is translated into English by Simon Parr. The Little Paris Bookshop follows the story of Monsieur Perdu, an literary apothecary of sorts. He owns this bookshop that's built into one of those boathouses that you see a lot of in Europe, and basically Monsieur Perdu prescribes books to his customers. By speaking with his customers, he's able to gauge which sort of book that person needs at that moment in their lives. Whether it's a book they need to cry to, something to laugh to, something to inspire them, and so forth. It's actually quite poetic, and it's funny because Nina George makes reference that people often think that booksellers take care of books, but in reality they really take care of people. And it seems like the only person that Monsieur Perdu can't help is himself. He's still haunted by the memory of his lover who left him 20 years ago with nothing but a single letter. And out of spite and probably pride as well, Monsieur Perdu has never opened nor read that letter until this moment. And the contents of that letter are basically what set the story into motion. Monsieur Perdu decides to spontaneously leave Paris on his little bookshop boat and travel south of France. And so this puts him on this journey of self-acceptance and also of self-discovery as well. I have to say that I absolutely adored the Little Paris Bookshop. I feel that the books I've read recently I've really just kind of gobbled up and binge read, but with this I was forced to take a step back and really slow down, but in the best way possible, and kind of really immerse and appreciate the writing, which is kind of ironic because at some point Monsieur Perdu is speaking with one of his customers who tells him that she absolutely adored his latest recommendation and read it in a few hours. And Monsieur Perdu responds in this way, saying that it's sort of disrespectful to the author because that particular author had taken 6 years to write the book. And so he says that as a reader, it's sort of our duty to kind of take our time and appreciate the value and the effort that goes into the writing and really immerse ourselves into the story. Now I have to say, I think the #1 reason why I enjoyed this book was the writing. I feel like Nina George's writing is just so descriptive and imaginative, I guess, maybe even slightly poetic. I thought that the dialogue and the characters' inner thoughts to be very captivating and interesting, and you absolutely cannot skim through this book, otherwise you miss out on so much of the story. It's one of those books where you really have to take your time and, enjoy it. And if you'll humor me, I'll read a few passages that I quite like, that way you can kind of get a feel about what I mean with her writing. Now the first of these is a conversation between 3 characters, and it goes, "Do the 2 of you at least have a couple of words for me? You know, a favorite word or 2 to send me to sleep?" Cuneo smacked his lips, like milk souffle, past a kiss. "I like words that sound like the things they describe," whispered Perdu. His eyes were closed. "Evening breeze, night runner, summer child, defiance. I see a little girl in pretend armor, fighting off all the things she doesn't want to be. Well-behaved, and thin, and quiet. No way. Lady Defiance, a lone knight against the dark forces of reason." "Some words can cut you," mumbled Cuneo, "like razor blades in your ear and on your tongue. Discipline, drill, or reason. Reason is the word on everyone's lips, so it's no wonder others can hardly make it through," complained Max. Then he laughed. "Imagine if you had to buy beautiful words before you could use them. Some people with verbal diarrhea would soon be broke, and the rich would call the shots because they'd buy up all the important words. And I love you would cost the most, and twice as much if it's not used sincerely. The poor would have to steal words or play charades rather than speak. We should all do that anyway. Loving is a verb, so do it. Less talk and more action, right?" I mean, do you get what I'm trying to say? For me, this is the type of thing I really like. Another part I enjoy is a character asks the other ones to invent words for her. And one of the words is star salt, which is described as the reflection of starlight in a river. When I read that, I just got chills. And the other, made-up words are just as imaginative. And another passage, a little sentence that I'll share with you, where 2 characters are kind of talking about life is, "Do we only decide in retrospect that we've been happy? Don't we notice when we're happy? Or do we realize only much later that we were?" And I had to find myself agreeing with this character. I mean, I can easily think of memories where I was happy, but when I think about them, I'm not sure if back then I realized how completely happy I was at that moment. So yeah, we're getting a little deep. And I'll share one last passage with you about love, I guess. And it goes, I think, and correct me if I'm getting too carried away with my ideas about the global sisterhood, that first there is the love in which we think with our knickers. I know all about that. It's fun for about 15 minutes. Second, there's logical love, the type we create in our heads. I've experienced that too. You look for men who objectively suit your setup, or who won't upset your life plans too much, but you don't feel any magic. And third, there's the love that comes from your chest or your solar plexus, or somewhere in between. That's the type I want. It's got to have the magic that sets my lifeblood alight, right down to the tiniest little globule. So that gives you a little sample of her style of writing. And I thought I was done, but there's one more thing I want to share with you. Monsieur Perdu also is working on this encyclopedia of small emotions, as he calls it. And for example, one of his entries is confidence in strangers, which he describes as that feeling where you can tell a complete stranger all about your life and divulge all these secrets and things that people close to you might not even know. And I don't know, I feel that's something you can relate to. And another one is grandchildren comfort, which is that feeling that life goes on. So that gives you a little taste of Nina George's writing, and I think that's probably the #1 reason why I enjoyed this book so much. Moving on to the characters, I quite enjoyed reading from Monsieur Perdu's point of view. I thought that his inner thoughts and the way his mind worked and how he saw the world was really fascinating. And I completely appreciate how his name is Perdu, which means lost in French. I thought it just, added more to his character and more to the story. The secondary characters are also very likable. Obviously, along his journey south of France, Monsieur Perdu meets and interacts with all these people, and he also picks up these stragglers. And the relationships that develop with these characters and that almost family-like dynamic and how they help each other deal with whatever it is that's haunting them was really quite fantastic. So the writing, the characters, and the setting too, I think, plays an important part. So obviously, traveling south of France, Monsieur Perdu stops in all these little towns, and I appreciate how Nina George wrote about the towns and describes the emotions that the places evoke in the characters. And also a bookshop in a boat, I mean serious life dreams right there. So yeah, all in all, I absolutely adored The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. I'd give it 5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, writing amazing, characters amazing, and setting pretty darn cool. So if you're the type of person who likes to read a little more slowly and really appreciates descriptive writing, then I think there's a good chance that you'll enjoy this book. So yeah, if you've read The Little Paris Bookshop, do let me know what you thought, and until next time, I'll see you then. Bye!